first young adult reading panel book club we've got up here, which is our lovely photo in my easy gear, and we are collectively known as YARP. Today we're going to be looking at our very first book that we have been looking at for this month, and that book is
His Bloody Project by Graeme, Macrae, Burnet. And the reason why we chose this was because we wanted to pick one of the Man Booker Prize 2016 shortlisted nominees. And after reading the synopsis and a little bit around the book, we thought that His Bloody Project was the one that sounded best to us.
Yes, and in the meantime, we found out that Paul Beattie was actually announced as the winner with his bestseller, The Sellout, ironically, I suppose. And so congratulations to Paul, and we'll hand back over to Ross.
But before we dive into the novel itself, what we're going to do is we're going to provide a little bit of the background on the actual novel itself and discuss Graeme and Burnet, which we've done in a very short video that you have a look at. So we'll see you in a second. Macrae Burnet is a Scottish writer born in Kilmarnock in 1967. Though he only began writing full-time several years ago, he has quickly established himself as a very popular crime fiction writer by the publication of 2 of his novels.
His first novel, The Disappearance of Adele Bordeaux, earned him the Scottish Book Trust New Writer Award in 2013, and his current novel, His Bloody Project, has been shortlisted for the 2016 Man Booker Prize.
In an interview with Man Booker Prize, Macrae Burnet reveals that Georges Simenon has had a huge influence on his writing. He particularly admires Simenon's ability to delve deep into the psychology of his characters.
He later admits that creating memorable protagonists is extremely important to him as a writer, and so he hopes that his readers will be rooting for his characters despite their flaws and their misdeeds.
As well as crafting extraordinary characters, Macrae Burnet is also known for creating metafictional games through his novels, deceiving his readers into believing the texts are based on pre-existing work or documents.
In His Bloody Project, Graeme Macrae Burnet recalls the case of Roderick Macrae, a 17-year-old crofter from the small village of Coldeville. Roddy admits to murdering 3 members of the local community in 1869 to relieve his family from the injustices imposed on young men by the local constable.
The story itself is told through a series of documents. We have Roddy's memoir, medical reports, court transcripts, witness statements, and also a psychiatric report that gives us an idea on what Roddy's mental state was during the incidents.
Each document brings shocking new details to light and illustrates the advocate's strenuous attempts to save Roderick from the gallows.
Macrae Burnet cleverly presents the case as a piece of Scottish history whose documents have stood the test of time, which have now been recovered by himself for the judgment of the 21st century public.
Okay, so we hope that you found that video informative and helpful to give you some ideas of what's coming. Disclaimer alert now, we are going to put it in. Spoilers are on their way. So if you haven't read the book and you are looking to read it yourself without getting any insight into characters, about the plot or the setting, and our own verdicts, we suggest that you pause this video and run away very quickly. Otherwise, we are going to go into quite an in-depth study of it now, and we're going to start off with our initial thoughts. So, what do we think of the novel? Do we like? Do we dislike?
I definitely like it. I don't think there was a part throughout the book where I thought, oh, it's starting to drag on a bit now, I'll get a bit bored. I really liked how he divided it into the different sections. So we've already said in the VT about how you have like Roddy's memoir, and then you have the trial, not doing this in the order by the way. There's like medical reports, lots of different things, and actually he breaks it up really nicely, I think. Obviously Roddy's memoir is quite long, and I would probably suggest to try and read that in maybe 1 or 2 sittings, not break it up, because otherwise you kind of get a bit lost, you forget a little bit of it. But you know, I really enjoyed the journey of kind of seeing how Roddy started off, and how his family reacted to everything. Yeah, definitely, I definitely enjoyed the book.
I completely agree with you there, because when you start with the beginning, you get kind of a witness statement, you get different people conversing and talking to one another, you kind of get this broad spectrum of opinions on the character of Roddy, and then you get his account straight after, so you're still a bit divided on what's it going to be like, and then his account, you start to develop a bit of a relationship. I think he picked the order well. I mean, we have discussed obviously that it could have been put in a different order, but then we've talked about you might lose some of its effects. But overall, I really loved it. I thought it was a great book. I mean, it was really different without having any chapters and just being divided into sections. I just thought, it was really good. How about yourself?
I'm completely opposite. To start off with, put hands up. I didn't enjoy reading it to start off with. It took a long time for me to actually get into the book. I found the first 40 or so pages of the actual account from Roddy to be a little bit dull, and it felt more like it's a case that they were sort of trudging on for an awfully long time. But I did get into it eventually. I sat through and read the whole account again from the very beginning, and he is absolutely right. You really should read it in 1 or 2 sittings, otherwise it becomes a bit confusing. But the story itself is really interesting, and you have to read the entire thing pretty swiftly, be pretty attentive to all the information that comes in there, because the fact that there are lots of different viewpoints that are given, which we will come on to in just a second.
I was going to say as well, obviously it goes from past to present a lot as well, so we've obviously got Roddy writing this memoir in the prison cell, but then we're constantly going back to the past at different points. So you go, I think it starts from when his mother dies, doesn't it? They say that's when kind of a lot of the events start. But then when you go on to the next section of the book, say for example the psychiatrist's travel writing, but actually he then goes back to when he first met Roddy, so you have to be very aware when you read the book, I must admit. I quite like that. I thought that was quite challenging. I was like, right, okay, what do I already know? And then, when have we gone back to?
They're not great with dates, are they, really, in the book itself?
No,
they don't actually specify specific years, I don't think. So you're forced, in a sense, to actually have to kind of keep track of different time periods where it's jumping to. That might be something, a point which you could say that could have done a bit better. But, I mean, overall, I think if you engage in it enough, though, you tend to recognise the breaks in time, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. And just, really, I think, put in Roddy's memoir, we've already spoke about this first, I think you really do sympathise with the character straight away. And even when some of the kind of gritty details are revealed a little bit later on, when we get to the medical reports and when we find out what some of the neighbours have said in the psychiatrist report, you still want to support Roddy. It's really, he's done wrong and he admits to those murders, but actually you are still rooting for him, which interestingly is what Macrae, the author, actually says that he likes to try and do with his protagonist, actually try and make you still be on the side of the protagonist, even though they might have done all these horrific deeds, which I think is really, really interesting, because it almost makes you think, am I a bad person that I'm still siding with him, or I don't know. But yeah, I really like that element of the book as well.
Okay, so the next bit we want to talk about for the book, we were going to talk about the protagonist, Roderick Macrae, but we have already done quite a lot of that. We've already given our verdict on guilty, not guilty, and we have also said that every sympathise and empathise with his case. So we're going to switch it around a little bit. I'm going to ask instead about any specific characters that you find really interesting and give some reasons as to why. I'm not starting for a change. So I want to talk more about Jetta, Roderick's sister. Jetta has a very quick introduction, I think is probably the best way to sort of describe her. She is a bit more of a shadowy character in the sense that Roderick is first underneath her, for the sake that she has to answer all the questions when he's talking. But then when the mother passes away, she sort of fulfills that role and moves into that bedroom with the father, which I think is a bit odd, personally. We won't go into that. But the point I want to make with Jetta is that her treatment and the fact with Macrae Broad, and the fact that eventually, spoiler alert, she falls pregnant. And I don't think it takes two and two to put together, does it, to realise that she's pregnant because she's wearing larger clothes, and it starts detailing about that she looks less energy and a bit more miserable. And she also brushes about Macrae Broad as well. But the ultimate bit for me that I find most interesting is the fact that she's got this supernatural link, hasn't she? She seems to dabble in otherworldly affairs, and she also comments about the fact that she's seen a white sheet go around Macrae Broad twice, which I think is one of the reasons why he actually commits the murders in the first place, because she has that influence on him. I think he sort of puts two and two together himself and thinks, well, he is on his way out of this world, why don't I help him along?
It's a good point actually about that. I mean, you were saying about the supernatural element, because you get Jetta, who kind of has this sort of mystery surrounding her, and then you've also got other characters, you know, Sam talked a bit about the vicar in the past, and obviously his role at the end, that he actually turns out to be one of the, I'd say, one of the nastiest characters in terms of his personality, or he seems to be very judgmental. And he's often like his qualification of good or bad in the villagers who attend the church on a Sunday. So he's got that very kind of, I think you said Evie about it being that sort of time, set the novel being set around sort of like 18th, 19th century. It's that kind of real sort of religious, fanatical religion where it's about like following orders and controlling people, and who, I think he actually says, does he speak about like the shepherd has to look after the majority of his flock, and talking about the idea that he needs to take care of the majority and forget the few, which is actually like almost a complete contrast to the kind of nature of how, you know, you should be expected to behave as someone like, you know, who doesn't care about individuals. So it's quite interesting that these characters are placed, the ones that are placed in positions of power, like the vicar and Lapland Broad, this one man on one hand meant to be like this religious authority figure that's meant to look after people, but both Lapland Broad and the vicar are abusers of power, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I think another interesting character, which who's easy to overlook, is the schoolmaster as well, Mr. Gillies.
Yeah.
Obviously, he takes kind of a lot of interest in the start of the book, when they're describing him and Jetta at school, as in Roddy at school, sorry, with Jetta, and there's almost that Matilda moment, a little bit cringeworthy, when he comes to the house and actually tells his father all the potential that Roddy has with him, that he's actually a really bright student and he could go far, you know, he could use his intellect to get a really good job. But even Roddy knows that actually that's not going to happen, and he's got to stay and work with his dad really on the craft, as a crofter, sorry, work on the crops. But I thought that was a really interesting element. I mean, that, if you think about it, that could have easily been taken off, and it wouldn't have really changed the story that much. Apart from the fact that perhaps Macrae Burnet is trying to say that through education you can liberate yourself, you can empower yourself, and make a better life. Perhaps that was the message he was trying to get across there. I did think it was quite ironic a little bit later on, though, how actually it's Mr. Gillies who doesn't make the case that great for Roddy when he's saying, actually, when he was at school, he was a lovely character, and he was very conscientious, and he knew all the answers, very bright. I never saw him being mean to anyone or talk to himself, and it's a bit like, Mr. Gillies, come on, he was a good character, he was, you're trying to save Roddy here, but actually you're not making a good case for him. But I just thought that was a nice element to bring up, because I think it's very easy to overlook Mr. Gillies' role in this, but actually he does crop up at the beginning, and then he's worked again at the trial as a witness statement. I think he definitely does add something a little bit different.
I think all three of them, Jetta, Galbraith, the minister, and also Mr. Gillies, they have like a sort of tragedy element to the book. Obviously, Mr. Gillies' tragic being the fact that he doesn't really support the claims that are being made in court and give his own view, because he's honest and does that. But he's a nice lad, doesn't talk to himself, not a problem. Then we have Galbraith, who obviously relents against following the true teachings that he's supposed to follow through theological manners. And then finally, with Jetta, there's the more obvious sort of conclusion for her, which is that she commits suicide. I think we sort of pick the sad characters to talk about. The book itself is meant to be a happy book anyway, so yeah. So our fourth point we want to start discussing is the unusual structure of the novel. What do we think? Do you think there's anything in particular that was quite radical about the way it was written, and was there anything that we thought was a bit disruptive to the rest of the actual continuity of the points?
You had a point, didn't you, about Roddy's memoir? That basically, obviously, they've got 3 little stars, haven't they? But it keeps going from past to present in Roddy's memoir.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, as she said previously as well, about the fact that all the events we jump from past to present, in the actual memoir we have this jump, which is about 2, 3, possibly 4 pages long, and it indicates by the little stars to show that time's changing and all that. But basically, it moves from Roddy at the actual scene in Caldewey, moving all the way off to Inverness, where he was kept in the prison, and being visited by Sinclair, who was effectively like his attorney at the time, and being visited by the doctor as well, which is quite ironic as well, because he comments about the fact that he becomes interesting to gentlemen when he's actually done this murder. So there's something a little bit different. But I think structure-wise, I didn't like it. Just a second, it's interesting to get that viewpoint and to see how things shifted for him. But I think he broke up what was going on. It would be nice to get the continuity of events and then maybe have that in a separate section on its own, or something like to give a little bit more insight, or poke it right at the end, or something like that before it actually makes off onto the trial for the stand. That was just right because I think it gets really with me.
I mean, in terms of saying, we've talked about this before, but I mean, in terms of the structure of the book, I think the fact that the only thing really about this which makes it a book is simply the fact that it's, bound like one. I mean, other than that, we could say because of the separate components in the story of having witness statements, a trial, it's basically like you could imagine finding this dug up in some old police archive, couldn't you? Something that like you've stumbled across. So I think it's definitely pushing the boundaries of what a novel is, the structure itself. I mean, I think in some ways it definitely works. I mean, we've talked, obviously, I know you really strongly for the notion that it could be read perhaps in any order, aren't you?
Yeah, I kind of questioned this straight after I finished, didn't I? I kind of said, I wonder if I hadn't read Roddy's memoir first, if I would have felt the same. You wouldn't have got that strong connection to the protagonist, would you?
Yeah.
And actually, if I'd read, say, the medical reports, where it was basically black and white, not kind of like poetic or figurative language, it was just very straight to the point. What the murder, how the murder had taken place, almost, what weapons had been used, what other injuries Roddy had caused, or Roddy would believe to have caused. I don't think we would have felt that sympathy or empathy, definitely. And I almost feel like, even though I do like how it's divided into those different documents, obviously Macrae Burnet has done it for the kind of suspense and the shock element, because by placing obviously Roddy's memoir first, where he just tells us that his main mission was to go and kill Lackland Broad for his father because of all the bad things that he'd done to his family. That was the only reason why he was going to kill them. Obviously, did we then find out in the medical report that actually he's sexually assaulted Flora, and then we find out in the Thompson psychiatrist travel writing that actually he's been caught before looking into the girls' bedrooms, and then obviously at the trial we then find out that he's touched, groped Flora at the celebration day. So obviously Macrae Burnet has put this order particularly so that in each section there's this almost reveal of something else. But actually, if you read it in a different order, I think different viewpoints definitely would have risen from it, emerged from it, because if it's kind of in black and white from the beginning, we wouldn't have almost been like, Roddy, we can't believe you've done that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We would have known that to begin with. So actually, we could kind of, maybe we would have been more a bit like police detectives then, actually, because we would have had all the facts in front of us, and then actually we can hear the backstory about what the accused has to say about it. So I think this is definitely, I do like the structure, but I think it's definitely set up in a way to make us feel sympathy for Roddy.
I'm definitely glad.
Like I said, it's not effective. I still think it's effective, but
I'm definitely glad I read it in this order first, because I think the way it was put together in this. I mean, I'd happily read it again in another order, but I mean, I think the way it was first would reveal the kind of the hidden parts of the plot well. But I mean, it's basically like, because of the different components, it's because he's had to order it to still create that effect of revealing things the way he wants. It's like a novel that's trying not to be a novel, but it's still a novel. So it's like you can't escape that form. But it is really like, I'd still stand by the fact that in terms of anything I've read in the past, he is pushing the boundaries. I mean, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because most novels that we read are actually just like start to finish, or there might be a couple of jumps in time and stuff like that. But to have something that starts off with the actual moments after the actual event, we have this claim, then we have testimonials, then we have the actual memoir, then we have these medical reports which reveal the severity of the injuries that were sustained for fatalities to occur. Then we've got travel writing, quite a report, and then we have the actual trial, and then we have this epilogue to be able to give us all the finer details and where his bloody project, the actual name, came from, being this published story of his that was supposed to be the whole manuscript to be able to show off his innocence, which gets reduced down to 10 pages, all talking about the murder, which makes him just the most unluckiest lad to ever lived in Scotland, isn't it? But yeah, and then obviously with the fact that we have all these different types of writing, we've got something that is effectively like a very small novel, then we've got these reports, and you've got things that are written in like the epistolary form as well, with like the travel writing, very general. It's got some specifics in there, but again it's quite relaxed, so I thought it was quite interesting. Okay, and our final big section of the booklet we wanted to discuss was the looming question, which we've been discussing for quite a while now, even before starting filming this, which is, do we believe it to be fact or fiction? I think I might start this one. So, fact or fiction? For me, I strongly believe, or strongly believe that it was actually a fact from the outset. The reason for that being that we were given pretty official documents. There was always the announcement of the discovered or found documents all the time, and the fact that he had been researching a family member and then come across this case, it all automatically sort of set the cogs in my mind working to think that this is fact. It was just punctuated and instructed for us to read in this last book. Things like the medical reports being thrown in, was quite graphic, all signed off by relatively official figures and also real names from the time. Maybe feel like it was more a proper piece of writing. The only thing that sort of threw me off and made me start questioning it before we started having discussions is the fact that Roddy, who is a half-educated 17-year-old son of a crofter, likes to use the term askance a lot, and it's an old term, but it's quite a well-educated term, I think, for someone of his age and education. But that's sort of my view on it. So.
Yeah, well, like Rob said, obviously we've been discussing this for a few days now, to the point where actually the other day we were like, we're going to Google it. We are going to use Google.
I was an idiot, so.
And actually, after doing that, we found that tricking his readers into believing that it is fact is actually something that Macrae likes to do a fair bit, apparently. And he did it with his first novel as well. Well, similar thing that he did with his first novel, which we mentioned briefly in VT. And you know what, he does do it very well. So if you were a bit fooled like Ross, that you thought it was fact as well, don't feel bad, because we actually found that he's been a TV researcher as well, so he's got a lot of background in research, and he uses a lot of historical facts in here. So it does say at the back that actually a lot of the names of people were real people from the 19th century. So you've got like Thompson, the psychiatrist, the vicar, I believe, as well, Galbraith, yeah, he was a vicar at the time as well, and also he does know a lot of information about Cooldy because his mother was raised in that area as well. So a lot of the historical facts in this, historical details, I should say, sorry, are very convincing because they are actually factual. But for me personally, like I've told you guys before, I had to read the preface about 3 times before I even got into the book. I know, yeah. Basically, I read it the first time and I thought, oh, okay, so this is interesting. He's been researching his granddad, I believe it says here, Donald Trump of Macrae. Interesting name. And then he came across these documents about this murder trial, and obviously went from there. And I thought, okay, brilliant. So this is actually, based on some facts here. And then, it just didn't settle with me. So I had to. Then I read it again, and then by the 3rd time, I was a bit like, no, this is trickiness here. This is just a fictional text, but he's using a lot of good, detail and historic knowledge of Scotland, really. But yeah, very clever, I must say. It's very interesting take.
I think that, the first thing I want to say is curse you for deceiving me. No, he really, I've got to be honest with you, the guy, I admire what he's done here, but as I've said to you and Ross before, that he's pulling you all over your eyes in one sense. You're sucked into the character, and then you go down to trust him, and then he deceives you. You find out more details about Roddy's life, but then also in terms of messing with our heads as to whether this is historical or whether it's fiction, it kind of adds another dimension to the book, which is making you second guess everything about it, and you just don't know where you can or go with it. But to be fair, I think that in a way is what makes it successful, because it's a part of the process of it encourages you to look into it further and to question more. And I think that is one of the strengths of any good book, is like how much it makes you sort of ask around and how much you want to look into it, because a good story makes you want to look into its background, I suppose. So for me, I do think it's successful, but I do think it's a bit of a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, just like a final note on that, I think it's a really, really good book choice for our book club for October as well, because you could say, you get a trick and a treat, as we've got Halloween coming up. Oh, come on, you're tricked, whether is it factual fiction, and but you get a treat reading it. There's lots of interesting details, and you are waiting at the end to find out actually what is going to happen, what the final third is going to be. Oh no! Come on, it's in Halloween.
And to finish off, we've been talking for quite a long time now, and it's been quite heavy for all of us, and for you guys at home listening as well. So we're going to go for the old interview style question, but we're not going to talk about ourselves, we're going to talk about the book itself. So, let's sum the book up in 3 words. I'll start. I'm going to go with enthralling yet deceptive, I think.
3 words? What did you?
You can't eat yet.
What did you go for?
Want to go for that? Oh, okay. I think I admitted before that I didn't really like the book starts off with. It's really risky. But the more I read it, I really started to enjoy it. As I said before, I thought it was really good fiction, then to find out it was actually... Sorry, before it was fact, and then find out it was fiction. It was a shocker. But that's the deceptive part of it, and the enthralling part of it is that no matter what happens in that story, you really, really do get behind Roddy. And some of the characters inside the story are very compelling. That's my thing.
Lovely. I'll go next then. I think I'm definitely going with convincing. Like I said before, Macrae Burnet really, really puts lots of effort in trying to make us believe that this is true, and he does it very well, so definitely convincing. Gripping, I would have loved to finish this whole book in one sitting. It took probably about 3 actually, but I just wanted to know what was going to happen. So yeah, definitely gripping. I wanted to find out the end, but at the same time it was touching. Like I've said numerous times now, I was very much behind the character of Roddy. I built that sympathetic relationship with him from the beginning, and even though he did terrible things, I still wanted him to come out. So, yeah, touching is going to be the last one for me.
Yeah, I think for me, the 3 words I'd go with is probably dark, unpredictable and clever. Dark obviously kind of speaks for itself, with as the book progresses, his life is in this situation as it is. It's a hard life, crofter's son, and the glimmers of hope he has that maybe escape to education, it never happens, never gets there. And it just progresses with the murders and it's like, the rejection and the brutality that it ends with. It's definitely, don't think you can escape the fact that it's a dark story for Roddy himself and for other characters. Unpredictable is probably, in terms of him, his trial and him being declared guilty, that wasn't what was unpredictable for me. What was unpredictable was the fact that he omitted so many facts to his own story, and the fact that ultimately, you can't say he lied to us, but he definitely did omit the truth. And after trusting him as a character, I found that to be a pretty, tough blow to take. And then last, I think I'd probably go with, it is clever. I mean, I have to give it to the author. He has done a really good job of, messing with our heads and creating a really believable historical account. Maybe a few lapses in there with certain grammar that you might not expect to see in that context, as Russell pointed out. But I think overall, the way it was done, it was really clever and effective.
I think the last question we need to ask ourselves is, would we recommend it for somebody else to read?
Definitely, yeah. I think, you've probably grasped that from how we've been talking throughout. I did really enjoy this book. It's a bit different to what I've read, just with structure, and yeah, everyone loves a good trial story, don't they, when they're trying to find out what actually happened. I think, it's definitely a good read.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I haven't picked up a book in a long time, not just generally, I mean, a good book, I should have, but I haven't picked up a book that I've actually been able to sit down and, like, I've ended up staying up with, like, bloodshot eyes to try and get to the end, because it's that, it's that well written, and, like, I mean, there are a few parts which I'd probably say, but maybe a bit dry, because maybe particularly after Roddy's account himself, and he's switching it up and he had to get back into another voice. But I would definitely recommend someone to read it, because I think if they give it a try and they do stick with it to the end, that they'll be rewarded.
And what about you, Ross?
Mr. Macrae Burnet, because I know you're watching at home. If it had been for the earlier readings, I probably would have said no, in my all honesty, but then having sent it through and I read the entire book in one sitting, it's a solid yes, absolutely. That's under sale for you. But definitely, it was, I hands down out of all of the book nominees this year, of the actual ones I read. Unfortunately, I didn't read Paul Beatty's, but I did read a couple of the other ones, and I think this is one that I found the most enthralling out of all the stories, so absolutely.
And we gave it a YARP rating of...
We're going to go for...
Is it 4?
We're going for 4.
4?
That's out of 5.
4 out of 5, yeah. 4. We like to say our high 5 system. We're going to give it a high 4. Agreed?
4.
Agreed.
Right then, so we hope you've enjoyed watching the book club today. Obviously it's our first one, so thanks for sticking with us. Ross, do you want to...
Yeah, when we get up to online to publish this video, there will be a comment section underneath. If you have enjoyed the video, please let us know. If there's anything you'd like us to do in the future, please let us know as well. We would also like to offer you the opportunity to write your own views and tell us what you think. If we've made a point that you don't agree with, or if you'd like to expand on, please let us know as well. And we really hope that you have enjoyed the Young Adult Reading Panel, also collectively known as YARP. Stay tuned as well. We will be doing a book club very, very shortly in the next few weeks, which will be focusing on Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. So we hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you for tuning in to see us today.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.